This is Damien from AtHope, and I am an axiological atheist, which can simply be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. Another way to understand it is a type of philosophy that I use that is effective for basically evaluation. So anything that has evaluation properties in philosophy, things like truth or accuracy, axiology helps to understand. And I'm here with two guests, and they're actually from the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, L.E.A.H. So could you go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your organization?
Matt, I will go first. Thank you. My name is Christy, Santiago, and I am one half of L.E.A.H. There's actually three of us because we have a producer named Anarcho-Witness who is not here right now. It's normally not in the video. It's just Mac and I. Anarcho makes the magic happen, and we run our mouths pretty much. So it's about spreading humanism, and I'll let Mac tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, hi. Well, I'm Mac, very skeptic, and I am founder, more or less, of the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, which started as a Facebook group, and we always wanted it to be more than that, but we didn't quite know how much more. We wanted it to kind of be like kind of a safe for atheists who kind of gather online, kind of seek that like fellowship a little bit, but also we wanted to come up with a solution problem in our. First, I was thinking like our atheist, but so one conversation with Christy, another conversation with Christy, and then we get into politics as Christy, and then if you want to solve a problem, talking about Christy, this is just what happens. Turns into kind of a news show where we also give our opinions and also try to give our arguments on like how to solve issues that we're seeing in our everyday lives that are related to politics, also related to religion, a lot of aspects.
I agree. And to that, I wanted to add one of the things that I find the most important that I'm reminded day after day by talking to people, not about L.E.A.H, but it reminds me of why I'm part of L.E.A.H and why it's so important, is media literacy. Media literacy is so big, and I think it's such a huge part of humanism. I care enough that I think media literacy is such a massive problem. Regular people reading something from anywhere, Instagram, Facebook, and it looks real, and there's a timestamp on it from PBS, and so it has to be real, and they have no way of finding out if it isn't. So I think that that's another huge reason for me why it's so important to tweet, and why politics, I hate to say that it's a show about politics, because it really is, but it's more about the policies behind them and why it's so important to understand them. Then that goes back to media literacy all again, and how Mac and I met, which is kind of a cool story real quick. I was doing a show, a 15-week series on, I titled it, This Is Our America, and I covered United States history from 1900 to 2000. So an entire century.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was. Sometimes I did 3 or 4 years per week. Sometimes I did 7 or 8, depending on the time period. There was a lot going on, or I could fit in more. And so it was time consuming. I spent every day of each researching, cross-checking sources, and then writing up my own article on trying to make it entertaining so that I could leave it off at a point where people were like, I need more, so that they come back and I pick it up right there. Yeah. During that, Mac and his wife, I guess, which is totally cool, had heard some of it, and his wife, Lindsay, actually said, that's the one you need to have deal with you. And so then it was serendipity is the word I always use. I didn't know what I was going to do after that. I caught the bug, that's for sure, of research, presenting, and Mac said, I want you to be able to whatever you want to do, cover whatever you want to cover. I was like, yeah, pick me up. So deal with it on YouTube.
Wonderful. What year, how long you been doing it?
I think we had our first episode in November. So, and the first time I had her on was her birthday, actually.
Yeah.
Her Atheist Flashback series I do on my channel, which not just actually, so
it's a good series.
Yeah, I had her on there. I had seen her around because I mentioned that atheist community that's online, mostly on Twitter, YouTube, and I had seen her in so many live chats back before her, like over that summer.
Right.
I was just like, hey, do you want to do an atheist flashback? And like, oh yeah. And then I started listening to a series of show, and Lindsay and I both listened to her a bit, and she started sending me like all these political articles and this and that, telling me about her crazy political views.
Yeah, they were just off the wall to the Mac, but he kept reading them, which shows, that is, I don't care what you believe your ideology is, if you are willing to open your heart and mind to read something that actually is opposite of everything you believe, as if like it is new material and you set aside your beliefs to take that in, that's someone who has a future. And so I love how far everyone, including myself and Mac, have been been able to go by taking in new information and having to take everything that we thought we believed, set it aside, and change our mind so many times. Just since we've known each other so many times.
Yeah, we've had to evolve through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so at 3 o'clock in the morning, I've been known to message back and say, I think I'm way farther left than I thought I was.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
Well, good. As a leftist, I appreciate it.
Agree.
We've grown a lot together.
So can you say that, do you feel comfortable saying some of the things that you feel you've grown in to help us understand?
Yeah.
Ladies first.
Okay. For me, it has to go to media literacy. I'm not above being duped. As much as I fact check, I'll get into, not now. I try to not now. Nobody's perfect. But I had gotten into, these are sources that I like. I fact checked. I can just go with it and gotten it because where they were getting their sources happened to be someone who worked for the CIA, or something where I'm like, God, so I can't get lackadaisical. There we go. I can't, because if I do, I feel like that'll happen, and I've learned that on this journey. And another one is, it's very easy. Humans are very tribal, including myself. Everyone is. And I will always fight that. But very easy to go, oh wait, that's who they like? Yeah, well, and not listen to them when that has nothing to do with the topic that we're talking about. So I've learned that someone who has views on A, but we're discussing B, we should stick to the B and concentrate on that, because their views on whatever this is over here has nothing to do with that. And by me blocking them out because of that view on A and not on B, what we're talking to, I'm missing out on being able to learn myself or helping them learn. And I've been wrong on so much. So to judge someone or not to include someone, exclusionary someone or a group of people because of whatever, I've learned that is the worst thing I could do as a humanist. And I think as far as humanism goes, I feel like, it sounds sappy, but every day I become more humanist. I become more empathetic. And I've had to change a lot of my views because of putting myself in the shoes of other people. The people that I will never be, I'll never be in that situation, ever. And maybe that comes with growing up. Maybe that comes with being in this community of skeptics with a healthy side of empathy.
But just so you know real quick, I'm not a skeptic.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying, because a lot of people say that. I'm a rationalist. To me, skepticism is like a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, just to me. I don't see it as overarchingly powerful. In other words, skepticism to me is a persuasion. I have a persuasion that I'm gonna desire things to be checked out. I'm not gonna just trust everything given to me. But it's not much more to me than that. It's just a persuasion. I'm a rationalist. Everything has to make sense. Everything has to have support. To me, the skepticism is important to doubt things and to inquire about things. But to me, it's not a process to then evaluate. Like even when people say scientific skepticism, what they're talking about is a methodological skepticism, which I 100% agree with. But to me, it's a form of rationalism because it basically requires everything is methodological, which means put in a method, put in a standard. So once you standardize things, in other words, you're not skeptical of the skeptic standard, right? So that's why, to me, you're using rationalism because you're stepping outside of just the process of inquiry or the process of doubt or the process of being watchful, and you're actually analyzing the process. What does it take? And to me, some people that will say skeptics have issues when it comes to things like coherence theory of truth or the correspondence theory of truth in philosophy. The coherence theory of truth, basically ideas have to make sense within themselves, like logic does. It has to make sense. It has to be coherent. Now, sometimes because of that, you don't know if it's true or not, but at least has to be coherent. We use this sometimes with people when they try to explain gods. They'll go this or that, and what they've explained is not coherent. Like if they say, "Oh, a baby's smile is the sign of God," well, that's not coherent. I don't know, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, I just want to throw my 2 cents out. I'm nothing wrong with people that call themselves skeptics. I just don't like to be called a skeptic, and that's not what I am. I use skepticism methodological. I don't respect any other type of skepticism because to me you can end up with solipsism, and you can end up with even skeptical of truth or skeptical of the universe or reality. I'm not saying that you're doing that by saying that. Most of the people, just so people are listening, most people, when they say skepticism, probably are somewhat thinking about methodological, like I said, or what's called scientific skepticism. So anyway, there's my little rant.
Just one more thing. For me, the skeptical part was something that I learned in my late 30s. I'm 43 now.
Right.
And for me, it has been a tool, like you said, a screwdriver. But in my toolbox, one of the top ones that I've used, being someone who consumes a lot of policy, consumes a lot of other people's stuff so that I can take it in, I've learned to use the skepticism to then logically follow. And I didn't have that tool. I never learned it in high school. I was skeptical of a lot of things that I had no evidence to be skeptical of something for. You know, like the government's bad and, you know, dumb things that I was woefully ignorant. So, but I totally get it. It is just a tool. Just like atheism is just an answer to a question for me. It's just, that's how I feel about this thing. Now, where do we go from here? Kind of thing.
Right.
Max, your turn, man.
I don't remember what the main question.
Yeah, what have you learned?
What have I learned? What have I grown in? Well, first I'd like to say that labels, I made a whole video on this. Go check out the video. Labels, to me, help as much as they hurt. In many ways. So, whatever you label yourself as, I like to say, that's cool, do whatever you want. Just be able to explain it.
Right.
Then don't straw man someone else. Like, if they have a label, you know what it means, you can reject that. But if they say that's not what they mean, then just listen. Some people don't know the appropriate label, and it can just really bog down the conversation. And I'm not saying this would at all. I'm just saying, like when you get on a lot of like Twitter, that is one thing that will hold you up for 3 hours before you ever get on the topic that you actually want to aggregate. So one of those main labels is atheist.
Right.
So what's your worldview as an atheist? It's not a worldview, it's just an answer.
Yeah.
Just as said, I just need to ask someone why what they. This is one reason why I'm so big on humanism, because I am an atheist, and when you're a Christian, that's an answer to one question, plus there's a plethora of answers you can have for your worldview and so on and so forth. But humanism is my world. So anyways, go back to answer the main question here. What have I learned is I've just been getting building blocks for the last 3 years since I started my channel. I started my channel with a video coming out as an atheist. I know there's other people out there like me. I don't know where they are, who they are, but I want to find like-hearted and like-minded people.
Right on.
I've definitely found that Christy and a good handful of many other people, and I am very honored to have that every single one of them.
And so, since you brought that up about, and we're asking about what you learned, so would you say that you've learned from those people? What you're implying?
Yes, I have learned a lot from those people. No one more so than Christy. Christy, Steve McRae, Charlie Shanick are been my three biggest. I get to work with Christy all the time. It's so nice. Good. But when I first came out of Christianity, I had to learn what atheism meant, and then I needed to learn about philosophy.
Oh yeah.
And then thought I got a real good handle on that, and I could make religious arguments. And then Christy came along and threw politics at, which I didn't want any part of, because I didn't know anything about it.
I remember. Yeah.
So then I had to learn about politics. When you get so far in politics, you come across the economy. When you dodge it so many times, you're like, ah, shit, there's that wall again. You have to learn something else. And through all of it, I've learned to be skeptical. I am very skeptic, but be skeptical first. So, like, you hear something, and especially when you're listening to news, politics, current events, that could be false, that could be true, but not quite true. It could be, it could be the spectrum of truth, and it's insane. It's infuriating at the time. So I try to be skeptical first, and then just try to listen to different sources. It doesn't matter if it's a right-wing source, left-wing. I trust the left-wing worldviews more, so I usually pull towards those. But I've also learned that if I'm listening to Ben Shapiro, a lot of times he has a justified reason to him why he feels the way he does. And I don't agree with it, but if I don't listen to it, then what's the point of trying to talk to him or push against it if I'm not even going to listen? So being open here, being skeptical, and being willing to change my position. Three big that I've learned over the last 2 years.
That's great. Yeah, learning to change. People will say stuff, and I always tell people, oh, I'm wrong all the time. And the reason why I say that is not because I'm actually wrong like all the time. My point is that I have no shame in being wrong. That's what I'm trying to project to people is that I'm just not afraid to be wrong. I do desire the truth. And so that's the point, is you should really love truth, and then you should be like, someone's like, sometimes people get afraid to tell me the truth or something. It's like, why? I mean, I would rather know, because I'm sick of being wrong. I mean, but it's definitely a process, because I know that our minds don't desire to be wrong, or to admit it and have to change. That's why you have like the people that it's like a post-buying bias. Once you kind of like post-purchase bias, I think is what it's called. Once you, in a sense, get something, then because you already got it and you paid for it or whatever in some way or another, that you feel like it has to be better, which is I think sometimes with religion, you've already done half of your life. You're not going to go, well, like half my life I was stupid as hell, and now I'm going to change. People that may know it's wrong and just keep doing it because they're like, I already devoted my whole life to this. Like, well, good. Now's the perfect time to stop.
I hear that a lot, and that is, I've been dumped by that. Not that I was in the conversation, but I think it was Talk Heathen, not Atheist Experience. I think it was Talk Heathen, and it was maybe 6-7 months ago. A caller had called in and said they're having all these questions, and they don't hold on to the magical parts of the Bible anymore. Obviously, virgins can't get pregnant. Nobody walks on water. Fish can't be turned into 1,000 fish. Water can't be turned into water. They know. However, they were 60-something, 67, 63,
right,
in their 60s. At this point in their life, it's too late, they felt, to let go of those things. And I think, for me, as an outsider looking in, it's very easy to give advice. Obviously, I'm not that person. So I've also learned that right there, that I'm not that person. And it might be easy from the outside looking in, but for that person, it might be so hard that their whole world would crumble down. So how to have those conversations with those people. And as an atheist, activist, humanist, rational thinker, logically following evidence, if someone came to me and said, my 87-year-old grandmother won't stop harping to me about religion, should I tell her it's all fake? No. No, she's 87. Love her, spend time with her. When she starts talking about religion, ask her if there's something she'd like to do. Do you want to read Moby Dick? Spend time with her, but don't waste her last month, week, or years arguing with her about something that might make her devastated and desperate. So that's something I've learned too. And when I first let it all go, I was very angry and I've been fucking lied to.
Oh yeah.
Everything's a lie. And I wanted everyone to know, and unfortunately that was not very human of me. Because there are, that alone, everyone should know could be harmful. Not a blanket statement, it's more harmful to not live it. But someone who is, very old and is very religious, if they ask questions, I say, answer them honestly, but not to no gotcha questions. Someone you love. This is an elderly person that could teach you a lot of wisdom. They've lived their life. Just steer that conversation away from it. If they need to pray for you, let them pray. Say, I'm not gonna, but you can, and I appreciate it. So that was something I've had to learn too, that it's not all about my activism. It's not all about me. My girlfriend was like,
I feel that I deal with children and elderly the same, that if they're not at a place to understand, I don't go on and on. Now, I do that in general, though, sort of with regular people. If you tell me something, I believe something, I don't just immediately attack you. I may just say, I don't believe that,
yeah.
But I don't actively mount a campaign. Even well, I've done a lot of street activism, so I've talked to pastors and stuff on the street. And I try to treat most people the same, with dignity. And so I don't really change that much, except the fact that when it's someone that's older or younger, I just try to steer it to what I think. I think this is why I think this. I don't really say you. Just like when people ask, how do you explain to a child, if that someone's gay? And to me, you just explain it. It's not something. So the same thing is why do you explain you're an atheist? You just tell people. I don't feel that we have some extra reason to not say it any more than I would condemn religious people if they tell others what they believe. I don't think that they're not committing some. Now it depends. If you're forcing it on people, which some of them actively do, now but that's your behavior. It's not the belief in a sense, it's the behavior. It's the problem. So I think the same thing for me is humanism is about behaviors. It's not asking, in other words, there's not a deep philosophy of exactly what every humanist has to believe, other than in a sense, you're all in a sense putting your care towards everyone equally. And you're trying to solve it without resorting to things like holy books and religion. It doesn't say religions, are true or untrue. It says they're not should be used. It's different. So it's not making a truth claim. It's making in a sense, to me, a humanitarian claim that we should all care. It's not saying, what do you believe? Because humanism to me doesn't go, do you believe in God? It's saying more like, do you believe in humans? Can't we do this together? It's more of like a positive affirmation, at least how I see it.
And that's huge. That's huge for Mac and I, because, I mean, we both had this conversation before where when we were both letting go of magical thinking and starting to watch all this content and the older content, we had a lot to catch up with, you know, the Christopher Hitchens and the old, you know, Dawkins, and we had so much to catch up on. And
have you checked out Robert Ingersoll?
No.
You have got, if you think that...
Yeah, I have, so, but not
it's about 100 years old. He was like a rock star for atheism, agnosticism, skepticism, whatever, humanism. The dude, he has one about not hurting children or women. It is so beautiful. It made me cry when I heard it. It was just telling people this is like 100 years ago. This is back when, you know, women's rights weren't even thought about, and child's rights, right. You know, you own children. So the fact that he was saying that back then, you know, is just astounding to me. Talking about going back.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Sorry. We were talking about just how we break into people that don't believe, or, you know, just how we talk to people about whether or not we believe or if religion bullshit. And I had one of those 8-second bits that we were talking about before we went live.
Right, yeah. Go ahead, tell it now.
Okay. One way that I like to look at it is some people need an imaginary friend more than others, but that doesn't mean I think having an imaginary friend is good, sane to, especially if it's that's how I feel.
Well, especially if it's telling you to hurt people.
Or ill.
Yeah. I think this on my own, and when I expressed it to Matt a year and a half ago, probably right around the beginning, that we both were kind of like, yes, I agree, same.
With what?
But there's so much atheist content, and we both said things back and forth, and oh yeah, we watched that, but it was just like, something's missing. Like, I love this stuff. I need it, and there are people who need it.
Yeah.
There are many people. There are other people who are going to double down and shut down because of people like Matt Dillahunty. They need someone like that, you know, but even then, there was something missing. And I love if you are a part of this, you know, atheist corner of YouTube, the atheist community, you've seen it evolve, become more humanistic. And there was, in the beginning of this, that massive break in the community where a lot of the OG atheist content creators turned into total anti-SJW and anti-feminist third wave, and it was rogue. I couldn't watch it. I thought, well, damn, I really liked you, and I still do. I just think you're wrong on this. Not just a little bit, but like you are harmful. You're harming people.
Oh, I agree.
And so that's about the time when I started thinking that. That's about the time when Max started the Facebook group, because obviously he was thinking that, but we hadn't crossed yet. And so it was just, I think...
It was just before.
Yeah. It was exactly when I first started seeing that you know, the chaos happening in the atheist community where there were anti-SJW. There were also the...
And I always tell people, yeah, I'm a social justice warrior, and I consider that a compliment. Okay.
I
All right.
care about social justice. Social justice is the same thing, but that's acceptable because it doesn't have that label. But these are the same people that if you wanted to be on an atheist show and talk about politics, policies, it was, none of that atheism plus up here. Yeah. Remember the atheism plus?
I remember. And I remember people getting all up on it. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really bother me. I mean,
well, it was massive, and so I saw a huge break, and that's right around the time Mac and I started, well, it was about within that year, at the end of the year, that Mac and I started doing our own stuff, and one of, you know, a lot of the first conversations we had were that we don't agree with that blanket statement of, you know, anti-social justice warriors. If you're talking about someone who sits at home behind a keyboard and just talks shit about everyone, but never suggests ways to make it better, I call that a keyboard warrior, not a social justice warrior. They don't care about social justice for anyone, and they're not a warrior. But at the same time, I had someone who is wheelchair bound and said, are you talking about me? Because all I can do is that. And I was like, I will never say that again. No keyboard warriors again. I'm so sorry. So I'm always learning and revising.
Yeah, I'm actually in a wheelchair right now. Speaking of which, I'm only on and off disabled. It depends. I have nerve damage on my foot. I've already had surgery. But yeah, I have videos of me in a wheelchair taking on street preachers. Not saying that everybody has to be that. And I've also held signs for supporting, you know, liberal causes and stuff in a wheelchair. And but I've also been out, you know, when I've been able to walk and you know, I don't really think that people that do stuff only online, I mean, do you know how much stuff I've learned from just people online I've never met? Shitloads.
I agree.
So I don't personally, even though I feel like I do all kinds of activism, I don't personally like judge activism. Man, if you're part of the positive, action in the world, I like that. I mean, that's so I don't, well, because I think it's like sometimes, I mean, I agree. Now, obviously, the more I can do, the better. But I mean, I think that the videos are important, like you said too. I mean, different voices. I know that I really hated that's why I really like you guys. I really hate this. I'm a feminist. I mean, I'm an anarcho-feminist. I'm an anarchist feminist. I don't think that you can have a civil society without feminism. I'm a queer feminist. I don't think you can have a just society without supporting queer people, period. So, I mean, forget the governments. I'm just talking about society in general. Society, governments and no governments. Society itself should be humanistic. Society should be caring about everybody. If everyone's not involved, there's a problem. It should be all of us. And so, I mean, like you said, I mean, these ideologies, I agree. I was never really big into watching videos and stuff other people make on YouTube. I've watched very few, but it disgusted me. And that stuff I hear online, I mean, I've had tons of people leave or not like my YouTube or leave my, blog or leave my, like, in fact, I just had a comment the other day, like, on one of my blogs, it was about the changing of society and how I see about 13,000 years ago, the real ball of society, and I explain it, all these links and blogs about murder and different stuff. And this guy goes, wow, I never seen an atheist be so anti-scientific. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have all kinds of links. So I asked him, right? And then he told me, well, because you support feminism and socialism. Oh.
They don't understand. Atheism is the answer to one word. What else? One question. What else do you care about?
Well, but he was trying to say that feminism and socialism are anti-scientific.
Yeah, Mac and I know plenty of skeptical atheist people who also think that feminism is a sickness.
Yeah, not me.
I think that an egalitarian future, one that I dream of, there would be no need for feminism. There would be no need for Black Lives Matter. There would be no need for anti-fascist groups. There just wouldn't be. There wouldn't be, sex problems, sexist problems. I think that, to me, humanism means the human, individual and collectively. I don't care if actually, I don't want to say I don't care. I'm not judging you. You are a human, the same, no matter what. A trans, a baby, a Black person, a white person, an Asian person, my mom, a person I'll never meet. People I'll never know on the other side of this planet, to me, are worth the same as myself and my mom. And I think that, I know that probably sounds radical, but I think that what sums up the amount of love that I have for humanism and for humanity, even though I see the most depravity, straight depravity, most depraved stuff doing all the research that I do, I still believe in this radical love. I mean, just a radical love. I don't know how else to explain it, where something or someone on this planet needs help and you have the means to help them. It's your obligation to help them. And I just wish everyone would know that. And yes, you'll probably get a pat on the back, but I would like to live in a society where no one expects that, because that's just what you do. I know. I live in La La Land. I get it.
Well, what we can do when we start worshiping, in a sense, the real values in society, and not, made up fantasy lands like gods and heavens and hells, and we really start, caring about things that matter, like human rights and human value. And I wanted to ask too, what was the first show that you had on your podcast? Because you said you had one, but what was the show itself?
Ooh, what was our first?
If you remember.
I want to say it was probably on.
About what?
Dapple.
I don't even know what that is.
Pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Dakota. I've never heard that little
abbreviated.
Acronym or whatever.
Yes, the Dakota Access. I'm not sure if it was the very first one, but it was one of the first ones, because that was one of the things that both of us agreed that, when we really had to start paying attention to politics, not trusting news sources of mainstream media, because they don't, if it's not politically savvy or it doesn't, or it's not profitable for them, then they don't cover it. And if they don't cover important things like that, then you can't trust them as news sources.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't say you can't trust them on anything. I just think that, because it's a pretty bold statement, you can't trust them as a universal statement. So all I would say is that what you learn is that you can't just trust them. You can't limit that as your source. Like the people of Fox News, you can't limit your source to one source and think you're really, have it down or really understand. I do agree that there's a lot of things they don't want to talk about because a lot of, I agree, is capitalist. I'm an anti-capitalist, so I'm really fond of that. But I also know that, even in the leftist things, I have to be careful because I don't agree with everything every leftist comes up with. I mean, I had some. It depends. Because this is like we're talking about feminism. I've talked to feminists that feel that, basically because of violence. Someone told me this, because of violence prone to men, in which I do agree, men are prone to violence more than women, because even sexual violence, men are like 95%, women are 5% for stats.
Right.
But so but that doesn't mean that we should actually be hurting men or something. It means that we should be teaching men to be better. I mean, this is a problem. We know the problem. We should still, But anyway, so she told me, well, it'd be better if there wasn't, we just eliminated men to the point that we need to just get saved, in a sense, save sperm, or you also now can actually science. I know I don't agree with this. I'm just saying I'm talking about extremes.
Like, wow, I don't think this person thought this out.
Yeah, I was like, but it says, well, because you can actually make sperm now from the female's egg. Science can do this. It's probably extremely expensive. But the point was, I'm just saying that extreme people, and I've had ones that are like there's, to me, like I've heard a branch of feminism that I don't agree with, and it's in a sense anti-choice feminism. They call probably what I do choice feminism. They don't use anti-choice, but basically. It's a type of feminism that thinks that women have to all do a certain behavior because you can't choose to do feminism whatever you want. And I don't agree with that. I'm an anarchist. And I think that women own themselves just like men do. And women as a group can't tell other women what to do either, any more than society that's mainly male-based can say what women can do. I don't think other women can go, yeah, that's not okay. So... I mean,
I don't think that person or anyone who thinks that, if anyone is ever watching this in the future, and you've thought, whether you're male or female, that the other sex, what if we just got rid of them and only kept the ones we needed? I want you to think about it. If you're a woman saying that about men, what if men actually got into power who were this fucking crazy? And decided to implement those policies on you. You wouldn't like it. So why would you do that to anyone else?
Well, it's obviously not humanism. And I don't really think it's feminism either. I'm just saying, for me personally, they can call it that. I personally, people call some things the left, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's rightist as hell.
Isn't that frustrating?
Like,
oh my gosh. So frustrating. If you look underneath the hill, they posted a video today about, of course, there were a few about Biden. This one happened to be about Joe Biden. And they had a guest on who was a conservative guest who kept calling Joe Biden the left and Obama the left and the DNC the left.
Or they call them radical left.
Calling them that. They
I know.
are liberal Republicans.
Well, not always. Even like people called Hillary Clinton, who to me is a neoliberal, which is basically a conservative light, or at least in the middle. Certainly not left anything to me. I mean, just a few little tiny things doesn't make. That's like if that's all it takes to be a leftist, then libertarians are leftists because some of the things I agree with, right? Some of the things. Most of it not, but some of the things they believe in marijuana, they believe in human rights, in the fact that.
There's quite a few things when I was trying to figure out my political compass.
But that doesn't make them left. They're actually libertarians are right libertarians.
There's something that a lot of people forget is that when you're talking politics, it's not just a left or right, right? There's an up or down. This is a graph.
Yeah.
There's
that's right.
Left or right.
That's right.
And down. And the up and down is authoritarianist.
Oh, definitely.
Libertarianist.
People forget that all the time.
So that doesn't make you left. That doesn't make you can be all the way down at the bottom, liberal, and be left or right. It doesn't fucking matter.
There is, I can send it to you guys both. It's a video done by Emma Damien, a journalist. She is interviewing humans at a Trump rally. And this particular man has a shirt that says something about Islam and liberal something, and the back was Islam plus liberals equals. I'm just like, that he doesn't, they're so woefully ignorant. They think that Islam is the same as like a conservative right-wing Christian church. Like,
well, not all Islam, just to clarify. Not
all of them.
Well,
just the ones that they fear, these radical, but the ones that they fear have very similar ideology to them themselves.
Yeah.
They don't
yes.
even, they
True.
can't even fathom it.
True. They both want to have evolution out of schools.
Yes.
They both really want women to be covering up, or at least being modest. Which.
Yeah, I'm wearing a sundress. To them, I would be a whore.
Well, I saw a Christian pastor on the I used to go sometimes when I was in California to Huntington Beach Pier, where of course women and men are all in shirts off practically. As clothes is legal. And and this pastor was calling women, whores of Babylon and all this nonsense, And I was like, but it was funny is they were saying shit back to him. I was just laughing. The guy wouldn't talk to me. And he was pushing around like a 6-foot Bible, just on wheels, humongous Bible. Yeah.
That's too much.
He's probably never read that Bible, by the way.
Or he selectively cherry-picked it like all the other Christians.
Yeah. So I wanted to build on what Christy was talking about a little bit with the tribalism and with the left and the right, and how. So this is, to me, this is a humanist worldview kind of thing. It's a bigger picture thing, and it works against tribalism. That's one of the biggest issues, I think, in society is just tribalism in general. That includes just small communities, little clubs, KKK, all the way up to nationalism, right? Either in the U.S. or China, Russia, it doesn't matter where. Just when you seclude yourself from any other part of humanity, the issue becomes treat another group badly. And now I remember. Not that I said I forgot, but it was the sexist deal. With the feminists, and
right.
Maybe we should just kill all the men. And as Christy said, sometimes they don't think about, what if some of those men in power just do the opposite, right? It's the same in politics, and it's the same in war, right? So this is something that every now and then we catch a little bit of crap for, but I will defend it because it's right. Is when we talk about like the Taliban or Al Qaeda or anyone like that, when our country, the U.S., is all over the fucking world, doing regime change wars, overthrowing dictatorships, and killing anyone who gets in their way, or just so happens to be in the line of fire. Not even in the way, they're just literally just in the way. Like, what, Barack Obama killed 90% civilians in all of his drone strikes. When you do stuff like that, it creates terrorists. And that can be...
blowback.
Yeah, it's just blowback. It's common sense, because it's common sense only if you have empathy. Right? If you can imagine that these people that you are affecting have feelings, have family members, or just friends,
right,
that they are going to be so devastated, sad, and angry that you just killed them. It doesn't matter if you're the greatest nation on earth. If you want someone to hate you, kill someone they love. It's common sense in humanism. It should be common sense everywhere. So I don't have a lot of empathy for terrorists. But my point is, if you want someone to hate you, kill people they love. Give them a reason to hate you, and we do that. And that is one of the reasons that we focus on politics and war as much as we do, and intervention. Like, we don't agree. Christy and I don't agree that we are the greatest nation. Like, we're number 27 in education, and
32 in science.
Yeah. When you say greatest, what you really mean is the biggest military.
Yeah, we do have the greatest military ever in the history.
Well, not body count, because China and India definitely outweigh us there.
Oh, well, that's good.
I think I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think I'd have to go look it up. But I think there's like 10 times more Chinese people than there are Americans, something like that.
billion,
It's
right?
a,
Chinese,
Oh.
1.3 billion
I was
people.
talking body count as in who we've killed.
I was like going, yeah, they have more bodies than us. I get what you mean now. Misunderstanding. I was thinking,
Yeah, hey, listen to this fun fact. China has more people in their military
yeah.
than America has citizens in their whole country.
Right. See, that's what I was trying to say. When you said body count, I'm thinking, I don't remember exactly, but I know they have a lot of people.
Citation, please.
Sorry about that.
No, it's my misunderstanding. I guess I should have got the military reference of body count, but I thought you were saying like if you count all the different people. I'm thinking, no, that doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, sometimes I pass around and it's a little confusing, but yeah, I hope that point's well taken, because that is something that drives our show, is that break from tribalism. We do it for religion, and we do it for politics.
Right. And for the terrorist thing that you said, we don't have empathy for terrorism, but one thing I think L.E.A.H does try to do is to humanize even the terrorists, not their actions, not their belief systems, not their ideology. All of that can be attacked. However, they didn't just happen in a vacuum. They weren't just born and was like, I need a country to terrorize. That's not how that happened. Something had to happen a lot and for a long time to create this type of hate, this type of vitriol. And so I'm not saying that they're good people. In this country, when you say something like I just said, I am a terrorist apologist now. I mean, that's how simple it is in this country, too. For me to just say what I said, which is not that at all, that turns me into I'm sympathetic to terrorists, and that's not true. And so I feel like where Mac and I are is ahead of a lot of America as far as education-wise, empathy-wise, logic-wise. And so we do have to be careful when we say things, because I want, if someone who is not knowledgeable on any of this hears it, I don't want them to immediately be like, filthy commies, and never listen to anything again.
Right.
But it's tough.
I was going to say about commies, I'm a socialist anarchist, but I'm not a communist anarchist. I mean, there's different kinds. But there's different kinds. So to me, people have this problem too, because when they say socialism, there's like 10 different kinds of socialism. There's not
America doesn't know political theory at all.
So go ahead, Mac. Sorry. I just wanted to say that people say communists all the time. They didn't know what socialist is. Or like, act like there's only one. I'm like, there's not just one.
That's one of the things I wanted to point out, too, is because, again, labels help as much as they hurt.
Yeah.
Right? When someone says communist or calls me a socialist even, I'm like, all right, can you define that for me?
Right.
And they usually get mad. I'm like, I'll define it for you. It's like, fine. Like, I'm not necessarily I agree with a lot of communist ideas. Mostly I'm just like, I don't know if I'm completely anti-capitalist, but I don't like capitalism. I'm more of a socialist. And that's fine. Like, you don't have to agree with me. I'll listen to you, you listen to me, as long as you're just not a dick.
Right. Well,
I honestly have that free speech thing. Like, I actually appreciate free speech. And you can say as much as you want, even hateful things. And I'll listen, but when you call for violence is where I cut it off. Like, if you want to say hateful things, I want to hear why you're saying them.
Right.
As soon as you call for violence, that's my line for free speech. But I have a line. But anything before that line, I'll let you fucking say.
I agree. And I think what a lot of us in this country have been indoctrinated through the whole American exceptionalism indoctrination program has been, we were taught, and I can only speak for myself, don't talk about religion or politics. Just don't talk about them. That's so detrimental.
So what do we do?
Health. Think about just textbook definition of a democracy. Not even adding people. Just the textbook. The more ideas, the better. The more arguments, not violent, idea arguments, the better. But when I say the more arguments, the better to someone who doesn't understand political theory, They think, but I don't want to argue. They think it as a fight instead of, arguing your point, because these things are just not taught. It's better to have an uninformed electorate who's not enthusiastic about voting. It just is. Than having everyone enthusiastic. And Mac being a social democrat and me being more of a democratic socialist with some Noam Chomsky anarchism in there, some Bo from the fifth column libertarianism in there, some, there's...
What's the fifth column? I don't even know what that is.
We'll send you a link.
Actually, I have a quote from him right here. I have the tank top. What was sent to me. He does these contests. Viewers, name your hat. I'll pick a name, and then someone will get a T-shirt. I got to choose a tank top. And on the tank top, it says, the GPS coordinates of your mother's vagina at the time of your birth does not determine your worth in this life. Yeah,
right.
I agree. I am fortunate that I was born in a first world country.
Right.
Fortunate. It was not up to me. I didn't achieve this. I don't deserve to be better than. And that's hard for a lot of Americans who think America, fuck yeah, it's hard for them to step back and think, we give $11 billion a day to Israel, this country, out of our taxpayers, $11 billion a day. Do you know Israel has healthcare for all, education for all, right.
How much do we spend in Afghanistan again?
Oh, God. Right.
Is it 4 billion?
Trillion?
Trillion. It's not 4 trillion a day. I think it's
altogether.
It's a lot.
End up being
altogether, but yeah. A day is still a lot.
Trillion.
So what was the last thing that you guys put out? Not obviously my conversation, but if that's what it was.
The show before, when you were our guest, Mac and I both brought things. The thing that I brought was I wanted to let everyone know about the behind-the-scenes story of Joe Biden and Tara Reid, because I thought it was imperative that people understand that no corporate media sources are talking about it. Not one. However, let me tell you that the campaign manager or equivalent in Biden's campaign is also the top person at the Time's Up place. Of course, Time's Up isn't going to take that on, which to me, and anyone with half of a noodle in their brain, that's the definition of corruption. And if you want to stand up for Time's Up and Me Too and men and women's rights, if they say, listen, I was abused or assaulted by this person, due diligence does need to happen. No one should be thrown underneath the bus because of someone's words. It should be investigated. But it should be investigated. It should be taken seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And no one's talking about it. So that was my story.
Yeah, I've seen a thing on Medium that said that they doubt the Joe Biden stuff. I don't know if he did or didn't. I can tell you that I posted some stuff maybe, 6 months ago or something about Joe Biden whenever it first came out. Whatever, it must have been whenever he said he was going to run for president, maybe, finally. And then I put out some pictures of showing all these times he was creepy with people, touching them, and it just, and I said, to me, I'm not saying that's excluding him from because of this creepiness, but let's acknowledge that it is fucking creepy. It needs to stop. He needs to acknowledge it. He needs to, apologize and do something about it. Not just keep saying, well, other people get offended. No, you're being offensive. There's a difference.
Yes. Well, you gotta understand with Tara, when it happened, there's contemporary notification. She told her mother right after it happened. She told her friends, multiple, right after it happened. It wasn't well, I have nothing to corroborate my story. It was.
Oh, I wasn't saying that. I was saying that I don't personally know.
Right. But for people who are saying, I just don't believe it, my reply always is, have you listened to her tell her story in her words? They say no. Have you read about it? I mean, I've heard that it happened. I don't believe it. Well, you have to actually read it. I don't want that to happen either. I don't want that to happen to anyone. But my wanting of something to happen or not happen has nothing to do with it happening or not happening. And it just sucks that, her story is so common. And if you know Joe Biden and you follow Joe Biden, her story of after he shoved his fingers up inside her and she didn't do anything, she was just mortified and frozen. In her face, he tells her, "What? I thought you liked me." And then when nothing happens, he tells her, "You're nothing. You're nothing." That's so Joe Biden. If someone questions him, he challenges them to push-ups.
Just follows his character.
Yes, it follows the character.
Well, and that's why I said, too, that the fact that I see him as, I know for a fact he's creepy. I mean, I don't have any doubt of that. That's why I was posting it. I can look with my own eyes and see what he's doing. I mean, it's physical evidence. So I agree with you that although I was going to say, although I don't know, because I do not really find his character to be high as some people seem to do, I don't see that as something that I would put over him doing. And I think that his answer always, and when he's challenged, is so aggressive that it's hard for me to feel comfortable trusting, when he makes comments. Because like he called that one guy fat, and that was he was attacking him, and I'm like, wow. I thought he was supposed to be the decency.
Comment story from the 90s. What I have a huge problem with is there's like Alyssa Milano saying she loves Joe Biden, she's supporting Joe Biden, and went into her Instagram and Twitter and took off of all her information, took away all the Time's Up stuff, took down all the Me Too stuff. She was like right on the cheerleading front lines for Kavanaugh. And she says her first encounter or memory of Joe Biden was the Clarence Thomas when he was in trouble trying to get, into being a Supreme Court justice, trying to get confirmed.
I remember.
That's the first memory of him. But I have a brain. I remember it. And if I didn't, I could look it up. And if your first memory is of Joe Biden, I implore anyone to go watch it. Joe Biden's a freaking asshole during this. He is, overtly sexist. He's the opposite of empathetic. I don't get it. I mean, I get it.
I wish I could have done something. I mean, like, if I was there and I could have done something, I would have done it. He was the chairman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. I definitely think that Joe Biden has a bunch of things. I was going to vote, and again, I already voted in the primary for Bernie Sanders, and I was ready to vote for Bernie Sanders again. I voted for Bernie Sanders first last time, and then ended up voting for Clinton just because I don't like anything about her, but I think that Trump is a menace to any civilized society. And that's why even I have a lot of my leftist friends that hate, that I said that I'll vote for blue no matter who. I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm doing it stupidly or that I support them. I'm not a Democrat. I don't like, certainly corporate Democrats or elitist, rich millionaire Democrats that are trying to tell everybody else how to be. I mean, I think that, because what I mean by that is like, just like Joe Biden said, he's still not going to, probably support marijuana. What the fuck?
Right. And that he would veto.
Like, dude,
are
you for real? So, I mean, but
no matter who, last time, I was terrified of Trump.
I'm still terrified of Trump.
So, yeah, that's true. But I've regretted. The thing is I like data and stats. And even the data and stats, the days going up to it showed Trump could probably win this. No one just wanted to acknowledge it. And so if I pay attention to the data and stats as they are right now today, Biden doesn't stand a chance against Trump.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that I think that the last time was a great thing. I would have rather voted for Green Party. I mean, I took a test for it. I'm like 90% Green Party. So I mean, if there's a party the political party out there that I probably am the closest to, it's that. So I mean, I can't stand the choices, but I also live in this government. I'm an anarchist. I'd love there to be, a decentralized type of government where we work together as federations. I mean, but it doesn't even matter because I don't have that choice.
Right.
So I feel like, that to me, I understand that people don't like the voting for the person that's the greater of two evils, but I feel like as a humanist, and for me, definitely as an axiologist where I have to evaluate my choices, that's the choice. I used to just not vote because I couldn't stand anybody worth voting for. It really is that I hadn't voted for like almost 10 years before Trump. Nobody. I didn't vote for anybody, but it to me is such a big deal. Even though, like I said, it ended up, it didn't matter because Trump won anyways. But anyways, I wanted to ask, before we go, can you tell us what your plans are for the future?
Yes, just 2 seconds. I want everyone to know that even if Bernie Sanders, as you guys all know, has stepped down, every single ballot has a write-in spot. If, in solidarity, in the perfect world a girl can dream, everybody who wanted him wrote him in, he could still be the candidate. It would just have to be a massive solidarity thing of everyone writing it in. So, it's not over, people.
Well, go ahead though. But you said that. Go ahead and say what is the next future, like immediate, and what's your end goal or further down goal?
Okay.
That's a good question. Well, I'll go ahead and take this one.
Yeah.
Can I real quick premise it with one thing that
Sure.
I wanted to say?
Sure.
So one thing that I see in the atheist community and also in politics and religion, is this: I'm against this. I'm against this. This is wrong. I'm against this. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it annoys me either way, because when you agree with something like that, I agree with most of the atheist YouTubers on religion.
Right.
Right.
That's just the thing. And I usually learn something new from all of them. But when they're asked about a worldview, a lot of times they just completely stay away from it. They just say, well, atheism is not a worldview. I'm like, yeah, I agree. What is your worldview? And that's kind of hard for them. So that's one reason why we focus on humanism. And that's also why Christy and I are very open on our news show about our policies, like our politics. Like, we want to tell people what we are for. And I am a strong advocate. I've said it over a ton of streams that our way is not the only way to fix it. But you are bullshitting me if you're telling me my way won't fix it. Because there's a lot of ways to fix society. And I have good ideas. That doesn't mean you don't. So we like to really share ideas, be honest in our ideas, and actually say what we're for instead of just what we're against, because we're so sick of platitudes and empty promises. So, moving on, what we want to do is continue that. Continue really doing good fact-checking on our stories. We want to build on more solutions for issues, especially with the candidates we likely have running for 2020. We're going to have a lot of work ahead of us, whether Biden gets in office or Trump gets in office. We're going to have a lot of pushback from either side because...
We should impeach Trump again.
Impeach Trump again, yeah. But even if Christy and I decide to vote for Joe Biden, that doesn't mean we're going to take it easy on him. We're going to his name through the mud like he's let us do the whole time. And I don't think I'm going to vote for him. But it doesn't matter. We want to be honest, and we want to be honest no matter who likes it. Doesn't matter.
I agree.
Just doesn't matter. So we just want to be honest, and if you agree with us, you can try to prove us that we're wrong, but don't be a dick about it, right? Because we're humanists, and we're trying not to be a dick to you. So
Right.
Exactly.
that's my thoughts. That's where we want to go. We want to be honest with whatever we do, and we take it week by week.
Yes, agreed. And I would have to say that what has happened and what will probably continue to happen, if I am lucky, is that my politics will continue to change. They'll continue to evolve. They'll continue to be better than they were before, the more I learn. And whenever I learn something or read a book, we do a segment on L.E.A.H called Book Report because
Cool.
I do a book report. I do the whole thing, and it's a lot of fun. I love that people care enough, they're interested enough to be like, well, I want to know about the book report. I think that it's about, and my hopes for L.E.A.H is hearts and minds. Changing hearts and minds, letting people know that it's okay, even if we disagree about a lot of things, as long as you can understand that what we're doing is because we care, we're doing it for genuine reasons, and we don't have to agree about a magical sky daddy. We don't have to agree about who we think would be a better president, but we do have to agree if you want to get things done, with L.E.A.H, is that humans, they matter. Their voices matter. Their gender doesn't matter. Their sex doesn't matter. Those are different. Their religion doesn't matter. Those things are in the grand scheme of things. If something happened right now and this country was under attack and we all needed to help each other no one's gonna say, well, are you Catholic or Jewish? Because I'm not gonna, that's not going to matter. It's gonna be like, hurry and get in here. Do you need water? And I know that's in a crisis, and that's when we're the nicest to each other, and it's always been like that here in the States. I would like to change that. I think that if I could just, one person a month, think, I never thought of it like that. Let me apply that to something else. And when I hear back from people who are L.E.A.H fans, it makes my whole year when they've even just changed a little bit, or I can open someone's eyes to something in history that they didn't know, like how the busing and the Chicago boys' libertarianism is connected in this country. Or little things like that, how if you knew about these specific policies in the 70s, and then you knew about them getting annihilated in the 80s and 90s, and how we got here that people didn't know. I've done my job, and so for the future, I would like to keep being able to do those things because I love them. And hearts and minds. I think that's my goal is for myself, is to keep learning and sharing those things, and hopefully changing some hearts and minds for the better, even if I don't help them change their ideology, which would be the best outcome. If I can help them be more accepting to others whose ideologies are different than theirs, instead of wanting to punch something because it's different. You're different. I don't like it.
Yeah, really.
That would be my goal. And L.E.A.H, the name, League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism. So I would like Mac and I to get some superhero outfits and some capes. That's definitely in my future.
Right on. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, and I'm going to go ahead and put your links and stuff for anybody listening. I'm going to put it in the information. But go ahead and tell us real quick what you have, like Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, whatever, so where people can find you.
I sure will. All right. On Twitter, it is Higher Frequencies, capital H, ends with a Z, but you can get me at Christine Dawn Sauce. So that's ChristineDawnsa. And then on Facebook, it's Christy Santiago. And on YouTube, it's L.E.A.H Podcast. And if you've never been there before, YouTube is lame. So you have to type in League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, and then you will see Mac and our cute faces.
Right on. So, do you have anything to add to that, Mac?
I have my own channel, which I don't do much on anymore right now.
Right now.
I subscribe to it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm trying to get to 500. It's taken a long time because I have a very bad posting schedule.
He has 2 young boys and a wife and at one point, a lot of jobs.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's Grey Skeptic. That's Grey, skeptic with a K. And on Twitter, I'm at Grey Skeptic Mac. And the only other thing I gotta say, maybe Christy will help me say it, is stay humanist.
For God's sake.
Sounds good.